Hello and welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture what we will do is that we will start building the food category activity, which is the next activity in our Android application. So if you open up this thing right here, as you could see, the food category activity is the second activity which we want to build. So what we will do is that even before adding that activity, there is one thing which is left in this case, and that is basically to add the listener to the list view which we have. So we have basically created the list view over here, which has the ID list options, and to this we have created the listener, which is the on item click listener. So what we have essentially done is that as we cannot add the item click listener directly to the list view, we have used the adapter view. So once we have this on item click listener and once we have the list view, let's go ahead and attach both of these things together. So first we will have a reference to the list view. So we will go right over here and type in list view. And let's name this list view as list view itself. So list view equals, and let's typecast it to list view. Let's type in find view by ID, r.id. And the ID of that particular list view is list options. So select list options and you're good to go. So once you have the list view with you, the next thing which you need to do is that you basically need to attach the listener. So you type list view dot set on item click listener, and to this you basically pass in the name of your listener, which is item click listener. So you simply pass in item click listener over here and you're good to go. So once this thing is done, the next thing which we need to do, as I earlier mentioned, is we need to create the food category activity. So the food category activity is going to be a little bit different from the basic activity. So for the food category activity, what we want to do is that we want to take the data from the food class. So right now, as you could see, the food class actually has the data stored in the form of an array. So we have array of foods over here. And what we need to do now is that we somehow need to find a way to attach this food class with the top level activity. Sorry, I mean to say we need to attach the food class with the food category activity. So in order to do that, let's go to the app and let's create a new activity, and this is going to be an empty activity. And one thing to take care of here is that while you're creating this activity, you don't need to generate a layout resource file. That is, we are not going to generate the layout of this file. It is going to be dynamically generated, and that's the reason you have to uncheck this particular option. Now let's name this activity as food category activity. So that's going to be food category activity. Once this thing is done, simply hit finish and you're good to go. Okay, so once you have the activity created right over here, the first thing which you need to do is that you need to make this activity extend a list activity instead of app compat activity, because we will be needing some methods from the list activity. So we will make this thing extend list activity instead of the app compat. Okay, so once this thing is done, we are pretty much good to go. So now the next thing which you could see here is that we have the onCreate method over here, and in order to basically join this particular list activity with the food activity or the food class, what we need to do is that we also need to have an array adapter over here. So what we will do is that we'll go right inside this onCreate method. So it's actually formatted a little bit different, but if you go inside it and hit enter, it will be formatted properly. And now let's go ahead and create an array adapter so that we could basically attach that array inside the food class to this particular activity. So this is going to be a list view over here. So we'll type list view, and let's name this thing as list foods equals get list view. So we basically have created a view over here, and now let's go ahead and create an array adapter. So that's going to be array adapter, and as this is going to be of the type food, let's type in food over here, and let's name this adapter as list adapter. So that's going to be list adapter equals new array adapter, and to this we are going to pass in various things. So the first thing is that we are going to pass in this. Then the next thing which we are going to pass is that we are going to pass in the type of the layout this is going to have. So that's going to be Android dot r dot layout dot simple list item 1. So all the items inside this view are going to be represented as a simple list item. Give a comma, and then we are basically going to pass in the foods array in the food class. Okay, so once this thing is done, we are basically good to go, and we have created the array adapter. Now the next thing which you need to do is that once you have this list view and once you have this adapter, you need to attach this adapter to this list view. So you type list foods dot set adapter, and to this you need to pass in the list adapter. So once this thing is done, you're basically good to go. So now we are basically done with the first part of our application. So let's basically go ahead and check how this thing actually works. So let me just save the code and let me just run this application on my actual device. Okay, so as you could see, the application is up and running, and we have three options: eat, drink, and other. So when I click eat, as you could see, we are now redirected to the new food category activity, which includes three types of foods, which are pizza, burger, and sandwich. So that's it for this lecture, and I hope you guys were able to understand how to basically go ahead and attach the activity with the array inside the food class. And there is one simple mistake which I did here, which was a typo. This should actually be FOODS, so we have an extra O over here. So make sure that you remove that, and we are good to go. So that's it for this lecture, and in the next lecture what we will do is that we will attach the listeners to the food category activity itself. So we will have a listener for pizza, burger, and sandwich, and whenever we basically go ahead and click those options, what is going to happen is that we will be redirected to the specific activity. So for example, if you click on pizza, that is going to redirect you to a new activity which is going to have details related to pizza. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.